Coming up on the House of Takes pod, we discuss the NBA in-season tournament, the hunt for the cup, as I like to call it. We are going to talk about how LeBron James on the court is really like the CEO of a major corporation. Plus, I'll give you my thoughts on Tyrese Halliburton and the surprise upstart Indiana Pacers. We are talking about the quarterfinals of the NBA in-season tournament. I've got all of that and, of course, a whole lot more coming up on the big show today. Now, as always, I am Dave DeBaugh coming to you live and in studio from the heart of the Silicon Valley. Let's dive into it, shall we? We're going to begin with what happened last night in the quarterfinals matchup between Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Kevin Durant and LeBron James both had absolutely fantastic games. LeBron had 31 points, and KD also matched him with 31 points. Now, before we talk about how LeBron James is really like a CEO of a major corporation on a basketball court in his 21st season, I did want to note that there is a solid chance that the Phoenix Suns last night could have and maybe should have won that game, as they got absolutely robbed by the referees in the game when at the end of the game, good old AR Austin Reeves fumbled the ball, and the ball was loose, and LeBron James, like any other good CEO, was able to call a timeout when a timeout couldn't be called. It is a major issue in sports because, as we know, both the NFL, Major League Baseball, as well as the NHL and the NBA are trying to use replay to get things right. And I think eventually, at some point, they are going to be able to just flat out look at anything. And this was a particular case where the referees should have been able to go to the video to actually look at what happened and reverse it. I'm not saying that the Lakers didn't deserve the win, but I am saying there is certainly an asterisk next to it. All right. As for LeBron James on the court, at age 31, he played the most minutes in the game last night in the Lakers' victory. He played 40 minutes of the Lakers game. And when you think about LeBron James and you think about like the CEO of Apple, Elon Musk over at Tesla, you start to think about the high-profile CEOs in the world today. The things that they do really well is promoting their brands and businesses. Now, in Elon's case, he takes maybe a different approach than they do over at Apple. That being said, what they all do really well is they get a lot of publicity for their corporations, good and or bad. LeBron does an excellent job understanding when he needs to be there on the court for the Los Angeles Lakers. And in a tournament that has no track record at all behind it, LeBron James has made the conscious decision to clearly want to win the tournament. Look, I'm not saying the Lakers have enough firepower to take down a very frisky New Orleans Pelicans team, but they certainly have the leadership necessary to take a team, which for God's sakes is actually starting Cam Reddish at times on this roster. I want to repeat, Cam Reddish is starting for the Los Angeles Lakers. It is a bit of a ragtag team still with this Laker team. And with LeBron James's leadership and willingness to be in the spotlight in a tournament that has no track record is one of the key elements that makes him one of the great leaders of our time. Look, the debate between Michael Jordan and LeBron James from a longevity standpoint should be absolutely blown away at this point. Now, if we talk about who's the greatest basketball player you've ever seen play, that's a different conversation. But from a longevity standpoint, it is safe to say that LeBron James and Tom Brady are the two best players in their respective sports in the history of their respective sports. Drop in a comment. Let me know what you think. Moving on to Tyrese Halliburton, who scored 26 in the victory over the Boston Celtics a couple nights ago. 122 to 112 was the final in that one, as you all know. I was impressed in that Jaylen Brown actually showed up, because Jaylen Brown doesn't always show up in an average game. Like, if this was just a normal regular season game, the probability that Jaylen Brown actually shows up is 50%. I have watched every single Celtics game this year, and I can confidently tell you that I'm absolutely right with that statement. Jaylen Brown shows up 50% of the time. The 50% of the time that he shows up for an entire game, he'll score north of 30 points like he did in this particular game. You can even see it on the court with your own eyes. There's an extra level of intensity that Jaylen Brown brings to the games that he actually shows up. Now, Jason Tatum shows up in basically 80% of the games that he plays in. He also scored 31 in the Celtics loss. Look, Tyrese Halliburton is a star, basically being born in front of us. Steve Kerr was once asked, should you try to fix Tyrese Halliburton's jump shot? And his answer, and I'm paraphrasing, was basically an emphatic no, leave it alone. Look, Tyrese Halliburton is a gamer. He is somebody that throughout his career, if you go all the way back to high school and college and even in the NBA, to this point hasn't really had an opportunity to win anything. I mean, he doesn't have any state titles behind him. He doesn't have any division record wins or division titles in college behind him. He hasn't had the real opportunity to win anything yet. And Tyrese, on a night in and night out basis in the NBA, is one of the best players and, quite frankly, one of the most exciting players to watch. Injuries aside, which is his Achilles heel, if you will, is the only thing that has really set Tyrese Halliburton back early in his career to this point. We are watching, my friends out there, one of the great young players actually growing up before our very eyes. Will the Indiana Pacers have enough to take down the Milwaukee Bucks in Las Vegas? That is the question. I think if I'm picking who I think is going to win in the semifinals, I'm going to go ahead and take the Lakers, and I'm going to go ahead and take Indiana. But I have to say that this is really, I think, done better than Adam Silver could have ever imagined when it comes to an in-season tournament. Yes. Is there some problems with this in-season tournament? Yes. Will the NBA look to fix those problems in the coming years? Yes. Could the tournament actually be a little bit longer? Yes. There are all sorts of things that I'm sure the NBA will do to tweak this to make it even better than it already is. You know, it's amazing. Like, as somebody that works in the Silicon Valley, and I work with a lot of startups, it's amazing what happens when an incentive is actually thrown in front of a group of people. And I don't care who those people are. You could be working a minimum wage job, and if you have an incentive to make more money to work on Sundays, you're probably going to do it. That goes all the way up to executives in the Silicon Valley, and it goes all the way up to basketball players who, on average, make $10 million a year. Throw an extra what might seem silly to you or me, an extra $500,000 at them, and create a tournament out of the thin blue sky. And what you have is an incentive that actually works. It is fascinating to see how this NBA in-season tournament has driven so many of these players to want to play harder in games that we all understand, like Jaylen Brown, probably wouldn't show up for half of the time. All right. As for LeBron James, just absolutely amazing. And when you really sit back and you take a step back, and I did this with Tom Brady as well towards the end of his career. When you really sit back and you look at it, it is must-see TV. You should try, if you can, to soak up every moment of the remaining years of LeBron James's career. All right, that's all I've got for you today on the House of Takes pod. As always, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please go ahead and subscribe. For the House of Takes pod, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.